In this video, we will be discussing controversies on activity-level expert testimony.
In forensic science, there are different ways in which evidence can be proposed to the court. The hierarchy of propositions shows the levels to which evidence can be explained. First is the sub-subsource, of which its extent is to interpret the intrinsic properties of the parts of a DNA profile, like the specific STRs. The subsource is a step up and involves the composite DNA profile. At this level, an expert would be able to testify that the two profiles are a match or not. The source addresses the source of the DNA sample, and this is where the forensic experts are generally trusted to report on in court. A proposition at the source level is not that useful, as there are multiple ways for DNA to be on an item, substance, or person. The activity level addresses this wider context and includes reporting on the activity done, which results in the evidence being left wherever it was. This is not an accusation of a crime being committed, which is at the final level, offense. This level is generally proposed with the multiple items of evidence in context. Courts are finding themselves in need of activity-level testimonies, and there are mixed opinions on if forensic scientists should be reporting at this level or if it surpasses their expertise. The higher up the hierarchy you go, the more value pertains to the court, but it also becomes more complex as more variables come into play. This is where a probabilistic model called the Bayesian network is implemented.
The Bayesian network is used in forensic science as a way to consider the likelihood of the evidence of both the defense and prosecution theories. It calculates the likelihood of each theory individually before dividing them to get the likelihood ratio. It combines probabilistic ratios of all the variables that could affect the outcome of whatever level of proposition is being considered in the defense or prosecution's claim. For example, at the source level, the Bayesian network considers contamination and the amount of DNA in the sample, among other variables. At the activity level, there is more to consider, and the variables vary depending on the circumstance. One side of the controversy of activity-level expert testimony is that data used in the Bayesian network is often unreliable. It can lead to biased conclusions from the expert and subsequently to the jury. A real-life example where this occurred was the Amanda Knox case, where the 22-year-old American exchange student Amanda Knox was wrongfully convicted of murdering her roommate Meredith Kircher in 2007 in Perugia, Italy. In this case, one of the items of evidence was a kitchen knife with Knox's DNA on the handle and a partial DNA profile matching Kircher on the blade. One of the experts who testified claimed that the DNA distributed on the blade was more likely to have been caused by an upward stabbing motion rather than the possibility of Knox's DNA profile being transferred from common use of household items from both of them living in the same home. There were no studies supporting the expert's claim, and the claim did not address the wider context that didn't quite add up that the knife contained Kircher's partial DNA, yet tested negative for blood. Amanda Knox was then exonerated in 2015, and it is clear that due to the inadequate activity-level testimony and the lack of the use of the Bayesian network, Amanda Knox was wrongfully convicted.
Testifying at the activity level has many pros as well. Using the Bayesian network, forensic scientists are able to assign mathematical likelihoods to what both the defense and prosecution say, meaning that it would be possible to quantify how strongly to consider evidence from both perspectives. There are many positive implications here, including fairness and ensuring that evidence is not over or undervalued. Additionally, scientists have scientifically supported methods to analyze data in a non-biased way, and applying that to activity-level testimony means that data does not have to be left to laymen and lawyers to interpret. Scientists testifying at the activity level makes it simpler for lawyers to discuss the offense level and for jurors to weigh the evidence.
In conclusion, evidence needs to be presented at the activity level by scientists because they are capable of providing non-biased conclusions from reliable scientific and probabilistic methods. However, it must be guaranteed that the experts are using data from sources and methods with standards that are accepted from the relevant scientific communities.